Hello, my name is Monica Kretschmer. I'm the founder and CEO of the Universal Women's Network, Woman of Inspiration Awards, and this is our Woman Driving Change panel. Super excited to have these three extraordinary leaders from diverse industries on the panel today. Of course, we have Lindsay Harle-Kadatz, brand strategist and mental health advocate for The Right Harle. Eldeen Pozniak, owner, senior consultant for Pozniak Safety Associates, and Ellie Stone, the founder of the Inspired Leader. So we have something to celebrate, ladies. This is just hot off the printer, and it's also a #1 best-selling Amazon book, which is super exciting in 3 categories: business and management, and motivational self-help. What I have to say is that I get goosebumps when I think about all of the stories. I'm super excited for your leadership wisdom here to be shared, but each of you have your stories inside the book. It would take a lifetime to get through those stories, but I think that that's what I'm so excited about, is we have the opportunity to educate our youth, but also support the other leaders on her journey and support her. So anyways, thank you, ladies, for being on the panel. I'm going to get you just to jump right in, Lindsay, and introduce yourself to our listeners today.
Yay. Well, thank you so gosh darn much. Congratulations to all here on this redonkulous feat. Amazing. So amazing. Yes. Hi, I'm Lindsay Harle-Kadatz, and I am a brand strategist for, hello, Chase. I also have a dog. I'm a dog mom. Please go away. Thank you. I am a brand strategist for families in generational transition through The Right Harle, and I'm also a mind management coach and mental health advocate through Quirky Lindsay Harle. Loving what I do, really love and believe in the power of lifting women, specifically through, mind management and what happens when we surround ourselves with uplifting and inspiring women who see you, who believe in you, who hear you. And it's just such an honor to be included with these types of women and support her. So thank you. Yay.
Well, we're so happy to have you, and you are in the right place, because we are going to drive change. This is how it happens, is we take action. And I know that you are all about that, Ellie. So welcome, Ellie.
Hi, I'm Ellie Stone. I'm the founder of the Inspired Leader, and thank you so much for having me here, and congratulations to all of you beautiful ladies on the call today too for the contribution to the book. So I've been leading for 16 and a half years in a senior level leadership position in hospitality. So I've kind of seen it all. And my leadership development and consultation business now is all about people and culture. And over the years, the bulk of the people that I've worked with have been women, and it's been incredible. And I love that experience. So I wanted to take it out to the world outside the 4 walls of my other organization and start sharing it with other female leaders. And so that's what I do now with the Inspired Leader. And I'm extremely passionate about it. And it's just such a beautiful experience every day getting to work with amazing leaders. So I'm super excited to be here. So thanks for having me.
Well, welcome, Ellie, and we look forward to the conversation. I know this is going to be an amazing panel. I just get goosebumps already. Eldeen, nice to meet you. Welcome to the Women Driving Change panel.
Thank you very much for having me here, and thank you to the Women's Network for this wonderful opportunity and the journey that we are all on, and congratulations to everyone who is trucking across the world and driving change in our own little areas of expertise and influence. My name is Eldeen Pozniak, and I'm an international management consultant based out of Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. I've had 25 plus years. It'll never be more than 25 because I'll never be older than 39, I think. Anyways, I've had a lot of years of experience in my specialty in management consulting, which is occupational health and safety. And I have a passion to ensure that all the moms and dads and sons and daughters and brothers and sisters and partners and people we like, and even maybe some of those we don't like that much, go home at the end of the day. And so when I started out, it was a highly male-dominated industry, and I have now worked on 5 of the 7 continents in 28 different countries around the world, and within the profession, within different industry, and really feel that within health and safety, I've driven some change within the profession, as well as in ensuring that my main goal of people going home at the end of the day is done. So thank you very much for the opportunity to be here and to talk about some of these important topics.
Well, I want to jump right in. We talk about breaking the glass ceiling, of course. And this is my whole world, and I do it every single day. And it's a brick ceiling. It's not a glass ceiling, So why is it so important for women, ladies, that we should use our voice and start driving change? Like, go. We got a highway. We've got a lot of things to do. Why is it so important?
It's so incredibly important. I feel like the more women take this opportunity, because I think, I'll say this too, I think we're in a changing and evolving time right now, which is so beautiful and exciting. Like my husband keeps saying to me, he's like, it's so exciting for you right now. And I'm like, I know. And so I think when we can lean into this and all of us keep blasting that ceiling, we inspire more and more women to show up and, as you would say, Monica, to be seen and be heard. And that just inspires a movement, right, around the world of change and evolution that's been needed for a really long time. Right. And so I just think it's so incredible that we have the opportunity to do that right now. But we have to show each other that we can do it.
Perfect. I think International Women's Day is every single day, right? We don't want to wait for just one day to celebrate women. We have to celebrate women every single day, right? That's the energy that I get. So I'm with you on that, Ellie, 100%. Eldeen, how about yourself?
Well, I look at it as women have some maybe different approaches to leadership at times, and I think that can help break the ceiling that's there, but really inspire and activate change. When I think of that, often we come to the table a little more charismatic at times, a little more pragmatic. Maybe because of the experiences we've had, we're definitely a little bit more determined or even at times tenacious about the topics or the areas that we're within. And we have different persuasive ways, I think, at times. We really want to get to know people and industry and get to know a lot of the why to be able to move whatever we're championing forward. And so that's a little bit of a different approach than I think sometimes I hate to stereotype, but I think we do look at things a little bit differently that way. And that can really help take whatever we're championing forward a little bit more. And so I think it's important that we recognize that within each other, that we recognize that we bring that to society, and that we encourage other people to take a look at it and go down that road. So
beautiful. Well said, Eldeen. Lindsay, how about yourself?
Specifically with one thing that Ali said is it was her husband, as you said, your husband said, this is such an exciting time for you. I'm like, well, this is such an exciting time for him too. Mm-hmm. I think that's part of the reason why we need to continue to drive the change, lift the women, and put the spotlight on women leadership, because it's an exciting time for everyone. It's not just women it's an exciting time for. Now we're all coming to the table and we're going for gender. This is how we create change, because it's inclusive to everyone at the table. Mm. It's not just an exciting time for us. It's an exciting time for all genders across the board at all levels. It's an opportunity for, say, men who have led in that more traditional male masculine style to maybe lean into how they originally wanted to. So I think it's this wonderful opportunity of time for us to just say, it's about women and the greater vision, because it's not just about lifting women, it's about lifting women and everyone alongside us.
Mm.
And that's why we must continue to drive. Anywho.
And I think if we continue to drive, we can even start to lose some of the semantics of these are more masculine or more feminine characteristics. These are just good leadership characteristics. This can take us farther. And I totally agree with you. It's all of us. It is any, underrepresented group within a workplace. It is all of us within our society and our workplaces.
There's a piece to like the common humanity of it all, right? If we can't find a way to all come together and grow and evolve together, you know what I mean? We're going to end up segregated again anyway. So it is, you're so right, Lindsay. It's so important. And the males who have taught me to lead in my life have been incredible too, right? Yes. So I'm so grateful for them too. And so I often think that too. And my husband is one of those, so I'm very lucky.
So I think that's a really great starting point. I have to say that for the longest time, it seemed like it was women empowerment meant the exclusion of men, where now I see this birthing of this huge, beautiful unity where it's like men and women, and everybody plays a role to support her, right? So why, and I'm going to start with you, Allie, and you have a big ally in your husband, but why is it so important for all men to be champions for women? And how could they support her?
Yeah. Oh, I think it's an evolution of thinking, right? Because, sometimes we're just brought up in different ways. We have different beliefs or values right? And there's just things we've been taught to believe. I am so lucky because my husband wasn't one of those men, but he had his own journey because he had to break the mold with other men because he's been a senior leader himself. So he's been, kind of looked at as a more feminine leader sometimes and had those qualities and but he's been incredibly successful. And so I think that men, if we can come together and we can lead together, we're going to get the best parts of each other and be able to create like the most incredible experiences for the people that are around us. Right. And I think that's the ultimate goal. Like you said, it's like this evolution, this birthing of us all coming together. I think that that's the important piece, is that we find the best pieces of each other and we morph into this like amazing superpower, because we can do that. We can totally do that. It would be amazing.
Eldeen, how about yourself?
Yeah, I've had amazing support from whether it has been family members, whether it has been friends or professional peers from the male gender. They have been ultimately supportive. And when I looked at how my career sort of came about in a male-dominated society, I had a lot of those supporters, the male supporters, tell me, this is how we kind of look at the world. And so if you can understand that, you know how to have, good communication, you know how to adapt, you start to understand us, and then you'll know how to, work the game, I guess, basically in the industry that I'm in. And so I couldn't have succeeded if it wasn't for some of those people. Now, I also thought that was something I brought to the table, because from a very young age to even now, I'll often sit back and listen to conversations that women and men have as groups and together, and learn at how they interact, right? So I became maybe more intuitive to be able to assess a situation, and then to know how to contribute in such a way that again, I had the ability to influence, or I had the ability to maybe get them thinking in a different way, right? To become a little more acceptable to them. And so I really found that I was never hampered by a lot of men, and I've worked in the Middle East, and I've worked in different countries where women are not always seen as in the same way as we do in Canada because of cultural differences. But even when I went to other countries, how I often approached it got them to support me, right? So I think it's what we have on our leadership characteristics and how we communicate. We can influence whoever it is, male or female, into how do we get support from them, and how do we move our initiatives forward. So we have to be supported by men, and we also have to be supported by women.
Beautiful. Lindsay.
I'm sorry. I could just listen to Eldeen every day because every time I talk to her, she blows my mind and teaches me something new. And I have just learned so much from this woman ever since I met her. So, but speaking of my male supporters, it's funny. I had very few male supporters in my personal world other than like my dad and my now husband. That's the reason he's a husband. But in my career, thinking back, I've always had very strong male supporters, with the exception of one, but I kind of don't care because he taught me something. And, you know, I'm thinking right back to my very first job where I had no computer skills and he hired me on because he took a chance because he saw something. Much to the chagrin of the person who also had to work with me and had to teach me stuff. But he championed me and taught me. And then I moved here. And the only reason I know that I'm still in my own business running the Right Harle 10 years later is because of, you know, some of the supporters I've met along the way. And they champion me and they believe in me and they don't see me, they see the gifts that I bring to the table. And that's the only reason I've been able to grow into a voice of some sort, that and, you know, other things. But had it not been for these supporters believing in me and saying, and just giving me the job and saying, well, no, you can do it. I don't know why this wasn't given to you before. And I'm thinking one's very specific. He was just like, yeah, you can do this. And then I did it, right? It's like, oh, okay. But prior, I was never given that chance. And because of that chance, I kept moving forward. And because of that chance, I then went to a company that was then able to support me when I had to leave the business. Right. And so there's this long thing as to why the male supporters, I think men are so important to the conversation. Part of the thing with the Universal Women's Network, particularly, and my husband's talked to me about this quite a bit, is it's so different because you bring men into the conversation and the supporters. Whereas a number of the organizations I've been a part of in the past didn't. And they were all talk and lifting, but there was never any action. And I think that's a huge piece, is we're now having more voices at the table that need to be included in the full-on change, because you can't change if only half the people are willing to be at the conversation. So yeah, the supporters in my life they've helped support me in getting a voice, and I'll continue to champion them as much as they champion me.
Boy, I can't wait till we see those numbers of our champions that are going to be like going, yes, we have so many women supporters. Isn't that, it's interesting to see, right? But I think that's probably one of our best leadership traits, is that women are nurturers. We want to lift others up around us, right? Including the male allies. Let's bring them into the conversation and make that change. Women seen, heard, and valued. Recognizing the achievements of women is so critical, Ellie. Why?
Besides the obvious. We're all sitting here today. It's amazing. I think it's such an important piece. I think I kind of started off by saying this. That's where my brain's going back to. But like, when we recognize the achievements of other women and when other women support other women, it creates a movement, right? It's like a snowball. And once that snowball starts rolling, we're unstoppable, right? But it is very easy because, at least for me, and I'll just use my own personal experience, you know, growing up and the things that I was taught to believe about being a female and a leader, I wasn't supposed to be doing what I'm doing now. That is for sure, right? My family is like, what? How did she end up here, right? And that was because people believed in me. People saw what I could do, like Lindsay just said, right? And Eldeen too, people supported me and got me to where I was. And so for me, like, that is a huge part of what I do now. It's all about highlighting other women, helping them be seen and helping them get to wherever it is they want to go. And understand that the ceiling can be broken. I always say over and over, because you'll create a new ceiling. And then, you know what? Go find it and just smash it again, because you can totally do it. And I don't know, I just think it's so inspiring. So
Very cool. I love all this, like, ceiling breaking and really just never stopping the learning and growth, right? Have that as your, ever arching thing. Just reach for the sky. Just reach for the sky and go for it. And surround yourself with leaders like on this call, which will be champions for you, right? So Eldeen, why is it so important?
I think
in your industry, why don't we even take it one step further? How about in your industry, like in underrepresented by women?
Right. I think it's twofold. One is to let other women know that it's possible, right? You got to let people know that this is possible, that you can do this no matter who you are coming to the table. And so there's that motivation and inspiration and knowledge and capabilities of others. And then there's something for you as well, right? Because when I think of our heart's desire as a human is to be accurately heard, understood, appreciated, and valued, right? That's our underpinning. And so it's the basis of all our relationships. It's a basis of our self-worth. It helps us, the foundation piece to help us succeed. So when this occurs, then something real and honest is really happening that's there, and it motivates you and influences you to go that next step in your community, in your life, in your industry. So for me, again, it's that individual and outside motivation, inspiration, guidance that's necessary from those conversations, from being seen and heard and valued. So it's helping you, and it's definitely helping all those others that are out there going, oh, what are they doing? Oh, could I do that too? I totally could. This is excellent, right? So that's, to me, it's that underpinning foundation piece.
And especially in industries that have, maybe a smaller, percentage of females within the organization or the industry. Super, super important to say, if she can do it, so can I. Or even just that visibility piece, that there's opportunity that exists, period. Because not all the time is there a barrier. I've talked to so many women in underrepresented industries, and they're like, there's no barriers here. People just need to know there's opportunities.
Right. Well, and part of it is that, is it a learning opportunity, and is there opportunities there? So we have to support women in being able to recognize the opportunities. We need to support women in having the capabilities of, once they recognize the opportunity, to be able to go after it and fulfill it, right? So I think that's important part of our leadership. When we've kind of been there, done it, to be able to give those who are coming up and coming within.
Beautiful. Lindsay, Ms. Harle-Kadatz.
Yes. Why is it important? Oh, God, well, exactly. As to Ali's point, isn't it obvious? But I mean, for most women that I know, including myself, we tend to not see ourselves the way that other people see us. And so any of our, accomplishments, we're just like, done, next, done, next, done, next. And we just keep going. And that's one of the reasons. It's a moment that when we recognize it, that you've been going and going and going. I just want to take a moment to acknowledge how freaking amazing you are. Like, do you not see how amazing you are? And to then have that light shone on them. And I know for me personally, because when I received the nomination notice back in 2019 for the Women of Inspiration Awards, it really put a mirror up to me of the individual who nominated me. I was like, okay, well, yeah, I can see why. And that's who I want to be. And then I saw, and I looked at all my other actions that were not aligned. And it just really shifted my own world into, how do I feel worthy of this nomination? Because right now I don't. And so how am I going to actually do that? And I think that was a huge turning point for me in my life of, you are being seen, but not by yourself. So maybe you should start looking at yourself. Maybe you should start valuing yourself a little bit more. And, maybe you should start hearing yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And in that way, you can then do it for others from a real place of love and compassion, as corny as that sounds. But it's like, I've always believed in championing women and lifting them up and so on and so forth, right? But it always came from but I'm not good enough place. You're so great and I'm over here. But what would happen then if I treat myself, if I'm okay, I'm pretty awesome too, and you are, and I'm going to value you, and then you're going to, right? And so it's that beautiful way of how can we start to view ourselves, because in viewing ourselves and acknowledging other and giving someone that gift of I see you, gives them the gift to then actually go and be who they want to be.
Agreed. But why? This is the next question for you all. And it kind of leads into another one after this. But why is it so uncomfortable for women to step into that spotlight? Ellie, do you want to start us off with that?
Do you want me to take it off? I'm taking them all off. Yeah, I can do it. I think, okay, so again, I'll just talk from my own personal experience, but I did not believe in myself growing up. And those were, the messages, whether intentional or not, that I received. And so for me personally, and Lindsay, I really loved what you're saying there, because I had to do a lot of personal work to start to actually believe in myself, even just to take those very small initial steps. Mm-hmm. And the one thing I kind of learned in all of that was that I can only care for others and love others as much as I love myself. And so there was always a limit to what I was capable of doing until I finally figured out how to try to unlock that key. And I was like totally resonating. I think I'm going off, Monica, I'm sorry, but I was totally resonating when Lindsay said she felt not worthy when she got the nomination, because I went through the exact same thing. And I was like, oh no, like this isn't for me, right? And you're sitting, and then I tell people and they're like, are you crazy? I can't believe I didn't nominate you. And so then you have to go through kind of this whole process of, so I think you're always up leveling that. And I think that that's a really important thing. I think I went off topic. I'm sorry.
You didn't go off topic.
Okay.
I think that you said exactly what needs to be said. It's like, who, me? Because in my experience, talking to so many women, like thousands of women, like really there's not one woman who I've not talked to and who was doing like off the charts, amazing work and super successful at whatever level. And they're like, who, me? Because you're working in your bubble, working so hard, and you don't see the ripple effect. So yes, right on point.
Okay.
Eldeen.
I grew up in a household where everyone was supportive. They told me I could be whatever I wanted to be, like, and pushed me to do that, and provided me an environment that opened the world to me. But yet I had the same, I'm not worthy. I'm not good enough. I don't, and part of that I think is maybe in the age that I grew up in, because I'm maybe a little older than the rest on the screen, was that women were to be humble, right? If we said, hey, we did this, well, you're bragging, you're arrogant, you're, right? That wasn't something that we were supposed to do. So it became kind of difficult that when you did say that, hey, I succeeded at this, people are like, oh, that's nice. Right. Except for, again, my immediate family, I have to say, has always been, very proud and very, again, supportive in all that I've done. And I couldn't have come as far if it wasn't for their love and support. But I think the things that have held me back the most has been my own self-worth. And I think that's also what drives my success and my leadership is, in one way, I'm proving to myself I can do this, right? And more than I'm proving it to anybody else. But it's not just, and I guess a few years ago, I gave off that it's not proving to myself. I'm wanting to leave the world a better place. right? So it's my purpose that fuels me versus I want to know that I can do this. But I do have to mention, I do have that hot button. I don't know if anyone else has that. Tell me I can't or I shouldn't. Right? And that is like, you might as well throw gas on a fire, because I'll even do stuff I know I shouldn't be doing because someone said, oh, I don't know. You're a woman. You're going to be working in mines. I don't know if that's a good idea. Oh, guess what, right? All next week, I'm at the largest gold mine or a copper mine in North America. I'll show you what I can do. So maybe some of that has been a little bit good as well, because, you got to find the fuels for your fire. But it went from, I have to prove to myself I could do this because I'm not good enough. I'm not going to be able to do these things, to, you know what, I can, and I should, and I'm going to I'm going to leave the world a better place. It's my purpose that now fuels me versus a self-worth aspect.
I love that hot button, because I got to say, I'm like, yes, yes, yes. You tell me that I can't, I'm going to show you that I can. Yep. And ignore those naysayers, right? Like, there's a bunch of people that want to be heard and they have an opinion. Doesn't mean that you have to take it.
No.
So I'm going to pause for just a moment while I grab my dog and let her out. So we had just a minor break here, and of course, women, just roll with it. So our next question, ladies, for you all, is a topic that has some hot buttons in a different way. It's about imposter syndrome. And, I just really think it's important to talk about it, because that's one of the barriers that women have that I find. I haven't met one woman that hasn't related to that topic at one stage of their career, right? So, Ellie, how do you overcome, or what is your experience with imposter syndrome?
It's almost a little bit debilitating I wouldn't even say a little bit, it is debilitating when it takes me over. And I struggle with it. I'm going to be completely honest with you. It is something that I know I go through. I had it before I came on this call today. I thought, who am I to sit here with you amazing women? So I have to work through it all the time. It's something I think about, and it's something I actually talk a lot about with especially the female leaders that I work with in the Inspired Leader, because it's pretty constant, at least for me, and it's something that I experience a lot. But it's like, I think about it, and Lindsay, you might think about this too with your mental health, but it's like a thought that comes in, and then I need to decide what I'm going to do with it on the other side, right? So I'm like, okay, that's great. This is like not making me feel good, but how am I going to respond? And so when I can be mindful and think about my response and take a moment to breathe, that's how I personally work through it. And then I just try to show up authentically. So I'm always like I'm literally like one of those girls. I'm like, okay, hand on the heart, take a breath, go in and just be you. And I find when I go into imposter syndrome and I don't do that, I don't show up as myself. So it's a really important thing for me to connect with who I am and connect with my heart and then try to move through it. But it's a very real thing that we all face. And I think the more we acknowledge it, the more it comes to light, and it's like bringing light to the dark, right? And we can talk about it and we can continue to try to move through it. But I think it's going to be something we're always going to navigate, at least I think for myself personally. So.
Fantastic. If I can just add something there, you decide where it is and then place it there, but we're going to continue to break the ceilings. We're going to continue to be uncomfortable. Imposter syndrome only seems to come over here when we're uncomfortable. And where do we come uncomfortable? When we're growing, right? So we almost have to embrace it at the same time, as weird as it sounds. We have to embrace imposter syndrome. That sounds really wacky, but to embrace that uncomfortable zone. Anyways, Eldeen.
No, I totally agree with you. I have it as well. It kind of goes with that self-worth, right? It feeds off of each other. And if you don't do something with it, then you're not going to be as successful as you need to be. So you have to acknowledge it and deal with it. And it's not unique to women. I'm going to say that right now, because a lot of men that I talk to in leadership positions, even talking to my own sons at times, they have that goes through their minds as well. So I think that it's important for women to realize we're not the only gender that goes through that. How we react to it, how we respond, our outward behavior can be a little bit different depending on genders, right? We might, but both are either you go into yourself and you don't do what you need to do, or you're so fearful that you become maybe a little more aggressive or territorial because of that. You don't want anyone to see it, because if they found out, oh my gosh, it would be horrible. But to me, it's very much, like one person had said to me one time when I said, I still get nervous when I do keynote and public speaking. My hands still sweat and my stomach is, and it's a little bit of imposter syndrome. Who am I to get up on this stage and talk about these topics? And this one person said to me one time, it helps you connect to your audience. If you don't have a little bit of that nervousness, then you're going to talk over your audience. You're going to talk to them, not with them. You're not going to be authentic. And I see that is the same thing with imposter syndrome. It allows me a chance to take a deep breath and say, this is why I can do this. And this is what I want to make sure that these other people see, or how we connect. So it helps me focus on the importance of that conversation or the relationship or what we're doing at that moment. And I use it as that, so that I don't use it to hold me down or tie me down. I use it to help propel me forward, not in an arrogant way again, but in a way that is much more authentic, like you've said. It's because I want to connect. I want to make a difference. And if that's helping me focus on that, excellent. Right? I use it as a tool.
Great advice. Lindsay, talk to me about imposter syndrome.
I don't understand this term. I'm not sure of what imposter syndrome is. I have never once gone through it in my life. That's not true. It sucks. It really does. It really does. It's a stressful thing, but I can remember when I was asked by a colleague of mine, he's a business coach for very high level, like 7+ figure companies, to come and do a presentation for a number of his clients. I said yes, because that's what you do, and then you figure it out after. But I was just tossing and turning and tossing and turning and tossing and turning that night. Like, what did I do? What? I don't have, surprise, I don't have a multi-7 million whatever dollar, like I am not his audience. And he's asking me to go and talk to them. And I was freaking out. And I was getting tired. And I just was like, stop. Very exactly like Allie's point of, you catch these thoughts and then you decide what to do with them. And for me, whenever I start to catch these imposter syndrome thoughts, I flip it. There's a reason somebody has asked me to do something. There is a reason I'm showing up. There's a reason that I have clients. There's a reason people want to, pay attention to the listening videos that I put out there. There's a reason that my voice or whatever, that I'm being called on some other path, or this path to use my voice. So I just have to do it. And the more I do it, it doesn't get easier. I still doubt myself every time I put something out there, but I still do it. And I refer back to my flip the scripts every single time, because it also then goes to, well, what is the outcome that I'm wanting? So the imposter syndrome isn't just, well, I'm showing, who am I to show up? It's, am I going to achieve what I'm wanting to achieve? And so when I take it back and I think, well, what am I trying to achieve, say, with this social media post, for example? I know my numbers are low, and that's fine. So what am I trying to achieve? I'm trying to achieve connecting with one person. That's it. And that's always going to be my goal, is connecting with one person when they need it the most. And that's what I'm doing. And so long as I know that that's my goal, and I'm not trying to be this voice for thousands of people and I'm just trying to reach one. It removes that imposter syndrome. It pushes me forward. It doesn't necessarily remove the imposter syndrome. I think there's always going to be that, who am I there? But you're able to catch those thoughts quicker, flip that script quicker, and take action again. That moves you forward. And I think that's the biggest thing there.
Amazing. Ladies, I am in awe of your authenticity, having the courage to really be vulnerable. And I think that transparency piece is going to be a lot of what moves us forward. But as we wrap up our Woman Driving Change panel, I believe that it's about what the actions that follow are really going to help move it forward. So, Allie, I'll start with you. What would you like to see, or how are you going to help drive change?
Well, I could list a million things that I'd like to see. So let me tell you how I'm going to help drive change. That'll be the shorter version. My immediate plans, I'm starting leadership pods with a 90% female contingent leadership, female leaders. And what we're doing is we're taking entry-level to mid-level leaders and showing them what it would take to get to a senior level leadership position. So I'm going to do that with probably about 18 leaders in the next year. And I've also created a sponsorship program with the Inspired Leader where I'm going to take one female leader a year through an application process that would join me on the journey, and I would share my 17 years of experience with her and help her get to wherever it is she wants to get to free of charge. So I'm looking for somebody who's super motivated, excited, wants to break all of those barriers, and I'm going to help her get there and help her be seen and heard and show up and achieve the life of her dreams. So I have really big plans. The end of 2022, I'm hoping I'm toasting some champagne with you guys about this because I think there's a lot of potential. But yeah, so I'm super motivated. I'm like, let's go do this right now. So I'm pretty excited and doing lots of cool stuff. So
very cool. Well, I'm going to say one lucky lady, right? Yeah. I think that experience at the end, and again, it's the ripple effect that really creates here's your goal, but look at the other people looking at what you're doing and then the impact it makes. So super, super cool. Thank you. Eldeen, what about yourself? What are you going to do to drive change?
Oh, what am I not going to do to drive change? I try to drive change every day, whether it's in individual attitudes and behaviors toward health and safety, or whether it is to say who we are as individuals. We're great and we should be doing the things that we want to and need to be doing in our lives. So some of the things that I'm doing to help specifically women within my industry, I belong to One Wish Foundation, which is a international women's network of health and safety professionals. It's a global organization, and we have representation from different safety associations and different groups around the world. We've started an active mentoring program to help people within the profession to move forward. We're also looking at venues where we have a voice, where we can be seen and heard and share each other's stories. And I always say that one of the things that I'm also doing personally is I want to slingshot people, and that's a term I use all the time. Lindsay's heard me use it before. I think that's what we should be doing for other women, for other people within our industry, but also within our society. We should be champions for them. We should be taking them and moving them forward and letting them slingshot above and beyond what we're able to do. And we should have people in our lives, supporters in our lives that can do that for us as well. So I'm always looking at, okay, who am I going to slingshot this week, this month? Who am I going to say the great things about them behind their back that I know that it's going to help them in their career or who they are or in their objectives and vision for life? So I'm kind of doing it professionally in something a little more organized. And I'm also doing a couple personal things that are, will hopefully have an impact as well.
Beautiful. Oh my God, I'm so happy to be on this journey with you all. Yes, let's do this. Lindsay.
Oh golly. So I have to say, I am on a wee smaller scale, but you know what? For me, I'm on a mission to just have this world understand how to listen. We all know how to talk. That's not the issue. There's so much focus on communication, and that is just the speaking portion. But for me, I'm on that mission to drive change on how do we actually listen. Because in my world, listening has saved my life. In my world, listening has saved my husband's life. Listening is one of those things that has the power to change someone's entire trajectory. It like a small conversation can just transform someone to choosing to choose themselves and get help. And I've been vocal and I've been frustrated, and particularly here in Canada, we have this whole Let's Talk campaign, which has done beautiful things for raising awareness and starting the conversation, but we need the other aspect, and we need to know how to listen. So I'm here to help people how to listen, both externally, but also internally. And that's all the mind management, and just really, you can influence yourself. How do you influence yourself? And that's the only person you can influence. You can influence yourself, and those then who need to hear you and who want to will be influenced by you. But it all starts with listening to yourself, to others, and that's how it goes. And then obviously in my professional world, I'm part of the Universal Women's Network as a national ambassador, and this whole network has changed my life. And it's one of the reasons why I believe that we need to use our voices. I had no clue how to use mine until I joined the ambassadorship, and I saw women using their voices and listening. And that's what I continue to invest in. That's what I continue to believe in. And I, the most amazing part is when you get these younger women, and I've had a couple reach out to me to mentor them and call me their mentor, and they're just watching me and they're doing the things and they're taking the steps, and I'm a one-on-one person. I think that's how I influence, and that's where it will be. And that's my heart. So let's listen. And now I'll shut up because that's contradictory.
Well, I have to say, when the world stopped, women did keep going. And I think that it's women like yourselves that are going to drive the change. And we're not going to talk about it. We're going to take action and make change happen. And I am really, really excited to be on this journey with you. And of course, listeners, this is like just the tip of the iceberg to the incredible stories of the leaders that we surround ourselves with and that we choose to as our allies and supporters, right? So I just would love to say congratulations again to each of you for your vulnerability, your expertise, your drive, and your commitment to raising up and to slingshotting women, Eldeen, and really being authentic and transparent, right? Because that's how we do it. That's how we make that change, is consistency and really being vulnerable and open. So thank you very much, ladies, for being a part of the Women Driving Change, and I look forward to the journey ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you.